Okay. We are going to talk about art today.
Yeah. You're right, Sam.
What about art inspires you to draw the way you do? What forms of art it just inspires you in general? It could be drawing, it could be music, it could be anything.
I've been drawing since I was young, very, very, very young. And one of my biggest inspirations growing up was always superheroes, mainly 90s comics when I was growing up. Later in life, it became video games. Comics was still a big influence, eventually the Marvel movies, things like that. I'm very much somebody who draws character concepts. So my pictures are very rigid. There's not a lot of fluid or motion to them. Okay? But they give you a good idea of the baseline of the character. And I've been inspired heavily by superheroes. And when I say that, I, like many people, I tried tracing art of like Jim Lee, Alex Ross. There's some of my favorite artists. There's
like DC and Marvel.
DC and Marvel, exactly. Another artist, I can't remember who the artist was, but he did the Red Hulk run for Ed McGuinness, I think it is. I think it's Ed McGuinness, or maybe he's the writer. I'm not sure. Give me that graphic novel right there. See the red one right there? The one right above it? Okay. Look, yeah, right there. That one right there. Yeah. And I'm not sure if Ed McGuinness is the artist or the writer. I can never remember. Let's see here. Okay. Writer's Jeff Lowe. Penciler is Ed McGuinness. Yeah, so the penciler, Ed McGuinness. That's who this comic right here heavily inspired me to do a lot of.
Because I can barely
art.
see it right now.
Well, I'm showing the other people that we're talking to.
I know.
Of course, you all can't see it. You all are going to see whatever video gameplay we put along to this. But I recommend looking up Red Hulk. It is a great graphic novel line and has some really fantastic art.
I can see it right now. It looks really nice. Just reading the cover.
It's one of those things where it's like Stan Lee said, it's okay in comic books for people to have muscles upon muscles upon muscles, because if you want to look at the Hulk, for example, when you draw the Hulk, you're not supposed to have him have a large head. His head is supposed to be smaller because you want his body proportions to be what you're focusing on. A larger chest, bigger biceps, larger thighs, bigger feet, etc. But when you look at somebody like Captain America, you want him to be proportional but strong, so you give him a broader chest. Mm-hmm. But everything else is proportional because he embodies that idea of physique,
But that's also the thing with comic books. It's you get to make your own fantasy, more or less. You get to make your own universe. You get to take what's in your head and make it real to you. Make it real to the people that read it. Mm-hmm. And you create something out of nothing. And in turn, that's art.
Yes.
Not just the drawing, but just the act of that comic book.
Yes.
That is art.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, what about you? I know you Lacrosse, you're more of the motion drawer. You've been inspired by things like Dragon Ball Z and whatnot. So
my art style was heavily influenced by DBZ. What really got me into art, though, and like serious about drawing, is literally, and we were cleaning out the basement one time, and one of my older brother, who sadly has passed away, some of his drawings were down there, and he had these awesome drawings, including this awesome Spider-Man picture that he drew. And I thought, I want to be able to draw that good. Just like,
But in reference, that was before that brother passed away.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still inspired by him, but
I just want to clarify that.
Yeah.
That was before that brother passed away.
This was years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Dragon Ball Z has been a huge influence on my art, as well as 2D animation in general, just because I love that style of animation. Just like, to me, 2D, like, don't get me wrong, CG animation's awesome, but like, there's something about like classic 2D animation that just it's got that special touch to it.
Well, especially when it comes to shows like Gundam. I love the original way the MS-08 team was drawn, or the way G Gundam or Gundam Wing was drawn.
Oh, Gundam Wing was awesome.
But nowadays, they go to, like, the battles are CG mixed with art, and that is a form of art, but I appreciate the hand-drawn a bit more. Yeah. That's all.
There's, like, a certain texture to the hand-drawn on those. It's hard to describe. We have a...
Well...
Hold on. We have another guest with us here. We got
a 5-year-old, my daughter named Lexi.
Lexi, what inspires you to draw? What makes you like?
I always draw cute stuff on babies.
You draw cute stuff in babies?
Yeah, I also like some different stuff on me.
That's cool.
Cute husband.
There we go.
Yeah, we had a brief hiatus to take care of something, but we're back.
So, Zach, what's your inspirations for drawing?
My inspirations for drawing would be just taking something that I think looks cool and just trying to find a way to like what Lacrosse said with Dragon Ball Z, like that was just awesome to me back then, and it was like, oh, I want to try to do something like this. Even at a young age, it's like, that's really interesting, and it's just more of the same.
Okay. So, like, for me, I wanted to replicate what I saw, and even now, I'm on DeviantArt. I'm Emerald Grizzly on there. Emerald like the stone, Grizzly like the bear. Okay? And I try my best to try to replicate what I see, but I can never quite get what's in my brain onto the paper, And even big artists, like Alex Ross, who started drawing when he was really young, okay? He did his best to try to replicate what he sees to the point where he's a realistic artist. He draws somebody in spandex that doesn't look like a figure where the spandex is sucked in under the muscle. No, the spandex is stretched across the body, and it's more smooth that way. Sure, they don't look as quote-unquote strong, but they look more realistic.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to draw, honestly, less realistic and more tight muscular, so you can see the muscles, I guess is the way to put it, so you can see the physique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're drawing clothes in any capacity, you want a little bit of thickness because it's material.
Yeah, you want to have give. Like, curtains have folds and edges. That was something, drawing in 9th grade class, art class, that they had us practice for a whole month was just drawing curtains. They'd hang up a curtain and say, draw it. And it was all about shade, all about light source, and how the shade hit the curtain's edge. So if you're ever trying to figure out how to do shading, look up cross-hatching, look up light source, and look up curtains.
Yep. On another note with that, it's actually amazing how similar it is drawing clothes and drawing rocks. It's weird, but yeah.
Yes. Rocks and clothes, quite similar.
Art itself, the word art. When you think of the word, what does it mean to you?
Expression.
Expression?
Expression, definitely.
Expression showing creativity.
Imagination.
Yeah.
Imagination, yeah.
It's an outlet. It's a way to get what's in my head out. Even if it doesn't end up quite like how I see it, at least I'm getting it out. If I want to go write a story, a short story or something like that, then I will try my best to write it. If I want to draw something, I'll try my best to draw it. And even if it doesn't come out the way I want it to, at least I got it out of my head. That's why I always wanted to be a video game designer, and I admire heavily video game designers because they don't just get it out of their head, they get it out of their head and they get to interact with it.
Yes.
That's awesome to me. That's a whole nother level of art. So, excuse me, Another thing that I love and enjoy is Warhammer 40K, the tabletop game, because, you get this gray model, you got to put it together yourself, you paint it however you want to paint it, to whatever degree you want it painted, and then you use them on the battlefield, the tabletop, to fight. That's another form of interaction that I absolutely love. Not as much, say, as video games, but it's definitely a big inspiration for me and another form of art.
That's one of the reasons why I like the figurized figures for like the DayZ and stuff.
For Dragon Ball, yeah.
Well, you can also think D&D can be art.
Oh, D&D heavily is definitely a form of art. It's a huge form of expression. Creating your own character is art unto itself, because you're not just drawing a character, you're building their personality, you're building their backstory. As you play them, you are crafting this person. And there are many times I've played Dungeons & Dragons for years, since 3.0, 3.5, and it's on 5th edition now. And many of the non-player characters, the NPCs that you run to in my games, they're characters I played. They're characters other people played in my campaigns. Because why make up something on the spot, which I do very often extemporaneously. I don't prep DM, I DM on the spot. But why make up something on the spot when you already have something so fleshed out to choose from? Sure, it's hard to remember all the characters I've ever played, but if I need an orc, I've played dozens of half-orc barbarians. I can go ahead and pick any one of those. If I need a cleric, I've got this great half-dragon, half-blue dragon cleric of Osiris that I can choose, etc., etc.
And just in case you guys were wondering, Matt actually is a high-level DM. I forget what level it was.
Okay, so the way that they rated real quick, a little off topic, but the way that they rated the DMs was 1 through 5. 1, you take the three main books, the Monster Manual, the Player's Handbook, and the DMG, Dungeon Master's Guide, and you can run a game. The second level of DM, you can take the 3 books and some extras and run the game. The third level of DM, which is what I am, okay, you don't really need the books, but you can use them. The 4th level of DM, you don't really need the books at all. The 5th level of DM, the books don't even exist to you. My wife is the 4th level of DM, and I'm the 3rd level of DM. That was back at Dragon Con, how they had the classifications of what Dungeon Masters were. So,
well, I want to go into D&D a little bit more, and maybe a later topic. But art in general, like, it's drawing. To me, it's music. It's
expressing yourself, and there's multiple ways to do it.
TV shows, live action movies, that's art. That's them telling a story with their body. Wrestling is art. It's someone telling a story with their body. They are selling you something. And my experience, because I had my own backyard wrestling thing, and it lasted a long time. And if I didn't walk away from it, it would probably still last. If the COVID shit happened, it probably would have still lasted. It's just, like, knowing art, everything in some shape or form is art. So it doesn't have to be, oh, I'm good at art because I can draw really good. Or I'm not good at art because the only thing I can do is play drums. Dude, drummer, you are an artist.
And there's no wrong way to do art, in my opinion. Like, for instance, the famous painter, Bob Ross, right?
Yeah.
If I'm right about the story, there was actually an episode where he painted a picture in black and white because a guy said he couldn't do art because he can't see colors.
That is correct. He wanted to prove that he could do it in black, white, and grayscale because the guy couldn't see any colors, and he did this, like, almost like an Everest mountain scene.
Yeah.
Well, since you talked about Bob Ross, his art, his painting, it's just brush strokes.
Yeah.
And the way that he holds those brushes gives different design, different life to his paintings.
And here's the thing, for anybody listening, we're not saying that anybody is saying that any of the things that we've talked about are not expressions of art. All it is we're artists. We're enjoying ourselves. We're talking about. I know we really didn't have an intro into this video, but
the intro was just saying the topic.
I know. But Zach, Lacrosse, and me, myself, Matt, we care about art, and it's heavily affected our lives, and we just want to talk about it and have a little bit of fun with it. That's all.
Yeah.
And just basically, if anybody in their life, I'm probably going to say the same thing you did, but if anybody in their life just believes that they can't amount to anything because they have no creativity, you have something in your head. Mm-hmm. It's called a brain. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter how creative it is. If it's from your mind and it's an expression of your thought, your belief, that's art.
Yeah, for example, my 6-year-old daughter here, Lexi, say hi.
Hi.
Okay, not 6-year-old, 5-year-old. She's gonna be 6 next month. But anyways, okay, one of her big things that she likes to do is we call it picture face. All it is it's sending images on the Facebook Messenger using the filters and stickers app on there. Okay, so one of the things that we end up doing is we let her play on that. She'll take a picture, usually of herself. She'll put a filter on it. She'll start using stickers, and she'll use the stickers to make people or to make pictures. Like, for instance, she used all emojis to create a man jumping off of the side of a building, and she said he was a superhero. That is art. So what? It's not an accepted or commonplace art form, but that's still art. That's a child expressing themselves, or someone expressing themselves.
I think,
and just so you know, she's not sending the pictures randomly to anybody. It's just
sending them to Lacrosse here.
But I think the word art is so heavy when they hear it, they automatically go to drawing. They go to visual. It's not all just visual. It's visual, it's hearing,
it's all the senses.
Yeah. Art is a sense of feeling.
Mm-hmm.
In any way, shape, or form. If it's something that can make you feel something, that's art.
Yeah, and just remember, Beethoven was deaf. And look what he produced through just being able to feel vibrations.
Yeah.
You know? Music is a huge art form. Something that I'm heavily inspired by. It helps me draw. For example, back when I was writing stories back in high school, each of my stories, each chapter, I would name after a song, and then I would have, if I had a story that was, say, 15 chapters long, I would have a playlist that was 15 songs, and that playlist was the quote-unquote album to my story.
I actually didn't know that. I knew you wrote a lot, but I didn't know that's how you did it.
That's how I did it, yeah.
Just like writing a script is art to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
Doing animation, that's art. Doing concept, that's art. Doing the sound design behind a movie or a product, that's art.
Oh, yeah. For example, one of the things y'all should look up is there was an episode, I think it was in season 11 or 12 of Mythbusters, where they were trying to not debunk, but they were trying to figure out how Hollywood sounds were made. A gunshot, running on the ground, so on and so forth, punching a person, what that sound is and how it was made. And getting to see how they make the sounds. Like, for example, to make the perfect punch sound, okay, so that classic whoosh or kapow that we hear, it was a mixture of the swooshing of a stick hitting your thigh, okay, punching of, like, meat, like a side of meat, okay, all right, a little bit of cracking of walnuts to sound like bones breaking, and then the whipping, okay, of your hand through the air. And all of that created the sound. That's art.
Yeah.
Do you realize back in the older days, before like all this technological input, like they didn't have this technology back then when Walt Disney was making cartoons.
Yeah.
they didn't have this stuff when they were making live-action TV shows. They didn't have ripcords. Well, they had ripcords, but they didn't necessarily use them in films.
Mm-hmm.
Big blockbuster companies didn't want to pay thousands of dollars for safety features.
Mm-hmm.
You had to be able to throw yourself backwards safely without the assistance of a ripcord.
Yeah.
And to me, like, that's just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were able to find ways to make sounds, to do things that just was unthinkable unless you actually knew how that was done back then.
Yeah. Or, that's also one of the reasons why, like, a lot of the actors back then suffered from back problems and things like that. Like, I know one, for instance, Jerry Lewis,
Mm-hmm.
and the first, what's his name, husband from Bewitched, suffered back problems from doing all those stunts.
Yep.
Jackie Chan broke almost 90% of the bones in his body.
At one point in time or another.
He doesn't use nets. He doesn't use ropes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he will parkour the highest shit you ever seen without safety features. Because they don't have them in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
China.
Well, China, Japan, they didn't even have them in Japan at times. I think they now just got them in Japan. I could be mistaken in that.
They do have them now. They've had them since like the late 90s since then, so don't worry about it. But yeah, you were saying.
Like, Jackie Chan, I could probably do another topic on Jackie Chan later. But, like,
He's a great artist. Martial artist, but yes.
Yeah.
An artist in general.
Yeah.
He himself, in a way, created an art style known as parkour.
I don't know if he created parkour right now.
On the basis line of what parkour was created on. There's other people that actually named it parkour, not Jackie Chan. But Jackie Chan was very high influenced by ninjutsu and some other forms of martial arts that he threw together as type of a free run martial arts style of action and combat. And that's literally like how he runs his movies.
I know before it was called parkour, it was called free running, wasn't it?
Free running, yeah.
Yeah.
At one point in time, it was called city running, but then they changed it to free running because people would do it outside of the city, and then eventually, I don't remember where it came from, was parkour, but Jackie Chan was one of the progenitors of city running and free running. So,
It came, well, with Jackie Chan, it came from, like, Bruce Lee. I forget, like, everyone involved, but Jackie Chan actually did an interview. And if you want to find out more about it, you can just go on YouTube and, like, check it out. But, like, the interview was really good, and he really went into, like, the deep waters on what inspired him to do what he did in the style. Because he even said, it looks like parkour, but I don't call it parkour.
Mm-hmm.
But that's art.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other topic relating to art that you would want to bring up now?
Well, I think to close out this video here for today, because there's going to be a lot we're going to talk about. I think we're going to do multiple ones on art. But to close out, one of my favorite forms of art is caricature art. Okay? All right? And doing caricature art, it's so refreshing to see done. And so if you need to take yourself out of a rigid style of drawing, try doing caricatures, because it's all about taking somebody's proportions, expanding upon them, minusculing some of them, and bringing out a character of the person. So I highly recommend looking into caricature art. So whether you do it or have somebody draw you a caricature.
Yeah. So for me, I'm actually, believe it or not, very into abstracted art. Like, I know Matt's seen me draw it before. Like, I'll get in these zones where I just want to do abstract designs and just draw those like crazy.
Abstract's nice.
Yeah.
So that's what you would think of to just close out an argument for art.
I mean, there's multiple ways to do art, but abstract is about getting your mind off like the norms of it.
Okay.
Like, force yourself into it.
Let me ask you, like, abstract is awesome visually.
Okay.
If it's done right, I've seen
Makes
that.
you think.
Abstract by hearing. What music makes you think of abstract?
Acoustic.
I would say jazz.
Yeah, because acoustic, you have to try. Like, for instance, there's the song that's by A Perfect Circle, Counting Bodies Like Sheep to the Rhythm of the War Drum. Okay? That song, okay, when they originally did it, I know that they performed it on stage with full-on instruments, but when they originally did the song, they did the song using a bunch of improvised instruments. Like, one of the sounds made is somebody running a violin bow across a slightly bent saw like you would use on a tree, like two people would saw a tree in half with, running that bow across that slightly bent metal, producing that sound. So if you're going abstract, then you got to think like that. Like, for example, another example of abstract music, acoustic, is if anybody here ever watched the show Home Improvement, in the final episode of Home Improvement, when they had the last episode of Tool Time, they brought out all those artists, and they had all these weird different implements that were making the sound. That is really cool. Another band, Fintroll, that I love from Finland, they do, they're a Finnish folk metal. They have an acoustic album, that the whole album they did out in a cabin in the middle of the woods, with just old-fashioned instruments and, spoon on the thigh kind of stuff.
I know another one.
Definitely.
I know another band, Stomp is another well-known one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring this up is because you actually said you love abstract art.
Mm-hmm.
You, in abstract art, that's abstract drawing.
Yeah.
Not just abstract art. Abstract art could be abstract music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You made a good point with that.
And that's exactly where I was going to get with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I was saying, abstract art could be anything.
Yeah.
Because art is anything. It's not just drawing. It's not just what you can see visually. It's what you feel. Art has to be felt.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't feel nothing, it's not art.
Mm.
It could be sound. It could be visual. It could be touch. But you have to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And if that opens your eyes to someone that's listening right now, for like what art represents to you in like a new way, other than just a visual way,
Mm-hmm.
then this video or whatever it's going to be after it's done is reaching you. It's helping you. It's a way of guidance. And I think with the three of us, like, we should do this more often. But I want to know from comments or subscribers or whoever, even the other two that you heard of, Lacrosse and Matt,
Or even Lexi.
or Lexi or whoever. I want people to either stop me on the street and be like, hey, can I just do a video with you? Or could I just do a recording with you? Just on a topic that my mind is on right now.
Mm-hmm.
I just want something like that to happen. Because then that shows me that Like, people are interested in just having opinions, that are interested in speaking their mind, and they just want a platform to just be themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what this is supposed to be. So it was a good reason to start up with the topic of art. Because what you are listening to and what you may be seeing in the video, that
Yeah.
is art.
Agreed.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to come on here again after the video that you just watched and explain to you that the whole purpose of that video was to open your eyes to everything that art is. And thank you to Matt Precup, to Jonathan Lacrosse, and to Jamie Precup that is playing Dauntless on the Xbox. If you like this video, if this video taught you anything, please punch that like button in the face, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and if you want to talk about a topic of your own, feel free to hit me up with a DM or even a message. The link will be down below somewhere. So please, without further ado, God bless and have a nice fucking day.